Good day, everyone. We are Group Jaega, but let me introduce first the members: Miss Jaylin Limbo, Ira Yvette Reyes, April Rose Halosos, Maria Gabriel Delgado, and Emmanuel Dumaos. And today we are here to discuss about identity theft.
So for the first question, Mr. A has this estafa case and the case reached the Supreme Court. Unfortunately, he lost the case. As we all know, when a case reaches the Supreme Court, the same is published on every website discussing Philippine jurisprudence. Now, every time someone key in his name in the web search engines, the estafa case is displayed as one of its results. Due to such, Mr. A suffered humiliation and embarrassment from people who chance upon such search result of his name. Because of this, he wants his name to be removed from such websites and he therefore invoked his constitutional right to privacy. The issue is, can a person request that his name is removed from such website about SC decided cases as the same is a violation of his right to privacy? Why or why not? So here in our presentation, yes, there is a way to remove Mr. A's name on the internet for his privacy, but why does the records are published online accessible by the public? Court documents are made available on the internet for a variety reasons. So the first one was um, so for the first reason is citizens hold government official accountable for the truth and the avoidance of errors, oversights, and injustice. So the cases such as Mr. A's cases uh, to be seen on the website because it is rightful to post such cases like this for to validate the government's fair justice in order for the people to be informed about how the Supreme Court or the cases were being handled or being done. So the second one is to educate the public about the law, accountability, and consequences. So if the public is informed about cases like this, they will be aware of the consequences they might face regarding the law they will violate. So the third one is reports and proceedings should be made available to the media and journalists. So cases like this that happens in the Supreme Court needs to be on the news as well as be mm, accessible for our journalists and media. So as we all know, media is basically known for us our reporters on the news. So uh, they will need the information regarding these cases in order to give us daily news regarding this issue, which can help, uh, which can support the second reason, which is to educate the public about the law. So if the public knows how justice is being done, then it will prevent them to do such uh, violation regarding this case. So the fourth one is to allow legal students to research cases and advance their education. So of course we have the law student which is doing their advanced study regarding laws. So if they are informed, which is if they are informed in this kind of cases, it will help them to their researches or their education. So what are the things that uh, or what are the steps that Mr. A might uh, might or can do regarding his situation of removing his name on the website that appears on the internet regarding his case to avoid humiliation. So the first one he must do is to apply seal or purge the court records. Mr. A will acquire the assistance of an attorney to submit a motion at the court where the initial proceeding was held. So regarding this his case, he will need the help of his attorney. Of course, it will also need a legal process to do and erase his name or to clean his name on the website that he wanted to be cleared. And the second step is go to the website where the content is hosted and present the order sealing or expunging the record. So for the first step, he can communicate with the website owner or the programmer that he can state there that he has take action or take legal action to clear his name to completely remove his name from website searches so he can live peacefully without worries. So let's move on to the next question.
Discuss discuss the concept of identity theft, its impact on an individual or an organization. Give your recommendation and conclusion. Next. Identity theft is the crime of obtaining the personal or financial information of another person to use their identity to commit fraud, such as making unauthorized transactions or purchases. It is committed in many ways, and its victims are typically left with damage to their credit, finances, and reputation. It occurs when someone steals your personal information and credentials to commit fraud. There are various forms of identity theft, but the most common is financial. Identity theft protection is a growing industry that keeps track of people's credit reports, financial activity, and social security number use. Some identity thieves sift through trash bins looking for bank accounts and credit card statements. More high-tech methods involve accessing our corporate database to steal lists of customer information. Once identity thieves have the information they are looking for, they can ruin a person's credit rating and the standing of other personal information. Identity thieves increasingly use computer technology to obtain other people's personal information for identity fraud. Next. The three most common types of identity theft. First, financial identity theft. Second, medical identity theft. And online identity theft. Financial identity theft is is the compromise of your existing financial account or the creation of new financial accounts by an unwanted third party acting in your name. Accounts can include checking or savings accounts, credit or debit cards, loans, medical billing accounts, insurance, etc. Financial identity theft can also affect victims through issues with debt collection and bankruptcy. In financial identity theft, you must protect your social security number. This is one of the most important steps you can take to safeguard your financial holdings from bank to credit card accounts.
Next is medical identity theft. Medical identity theft is when someone steals or uses your personal information like your name, social security number, or medical number to submit fraudulent claims to medical and other health insurers without your authorization. Medical identity theft can cause disrupt your medical care and waste taxpayer dollars. If a patient's medical record is corrupted by a shady provider, it could lead to mistreatment, misdiagnosis, and delay in care, or even being prescribed the wrong medication from honest physicians. An error with potentially fatal consequences. Next. Online identity theft. It is a serious crime often aimed at obtaining the personal or financial information of another person. The obtained information is then used for personal gain, often by making purchases or selling someone's identity or credit card details online to the higher bidder. An example of online identity theft is a scam websites or fake links. It will ask information about you in exchange to something you will never get. One time I went to a pirated website and it says that I want an iPhone and I need to claim it as soon as possible. And obviously, I ignored it because it is scam. To prevent this, always check if there is a lock icon in the link of the website. That means it is safe and secure.
What is due process and its aspects? Next. According to Kenton 2021, due process is a requirement that legal matters be resolved according to established rules and principles, and that individuals be treated fairly. Due process applies to both civil and criminal matters. In countries with developed legal systems, individuals expect that the rights enshrined in their constitution will be applied to them fairly. This expectation of due process outlines the relationship individuals expect to have with their local, state, and federal governments, specifically that the rights of the individuals will not be violated. Next page. The origin of due process is often traced back to the Magna Carta, a 13th century document that outlined the relationship between the English monarchy, the church, and feudal barons. The king was thus prevented from arbitrarily changing or ignoring laws, with the Magna Carta establishing the rule of law that the monarchy must follow. The due process continued to be part of British law for centuries after the signing of the Magna Carta, but the relationship between Parliament and the courts limited its application in practice. The courts did not have the power of judicial review, which would have allowed them to determine whether government actions violated the rule of law and thus could not always enforce due process. Judges could not be as assertive in defending due process in the face of parliamentary action with the opposite holding in the United States.
Types of due process. Procedural due process and substantive due process. Procedural due process requires that when the federal government acts in a way that denies a citizen of life, liberty, or property interest, the person must be given notice, the opportunity to be heard, and a decision by a neutral decision maker. Substantive due process is a principle allowing courts to protect certain fundamental rights from government interference, even if procedural protections are present or the rights are not specifically mentioned elsewhere in the U.S. Constitution. 14th Amendment prohibits the government from depriving individuals of property, freedom, or their life of due process. Due process clause describes the legal obligation of all entities to use fair procedures and act within the law. It provides safeguards that protect people from having the government throw them in person, take their property, or sentence them to death without going through specific steps. For example, the substantive due process allows the courts to determine if the government has sufficient justification or specific actions. Procedural due process requires that government entities follow specific procedures before depriving someone of their property, life, or liberty. And that's the presentation of Jaega. Thank you.